Hi. Today we'll continue our conversation about the inflation, and I will give you practical advices of how to survive hyperinflation. But first, I'd like to tell you that this is my subjective opinion. It's not a financial advice. It's not a career advice. So you should take it with a grain of salt. The most important thing that you have to do in any crisis is that you have to have an income. You have to be able to support yourself and your family. Your job or your business have to be survivable in hyperinflation environment. First, let's see what professions will not do well in hyperinflation. Any government job will not do well in hyperinflation because in hyperinflation, government is essentially bankrupt and government will not be able to raise the salaries fast enough to keep up with inflation. And I remember living through hyperinflation in Soviet Union during the collapse of Soviet Union, and government employees were not doing well, except those that were very close to the power. Also, any job or business associated with non-essential goods and services will not do very well. And the businesses that provide essentials or necessities will do better. For example, liquor store will do better than, let's say, Gucci store. Keep in mind that during hyperinflation, a lot of businesses go bankrupt. That means the competition is reduced significantly. That means there will be a lot of new opportunities for business or for career. To me, the period of hyperinflation was a very exciting time. Well, partially because I was young and careless, and because the communist system was crumbling, but also because there were so many new opportunities and exciting opportunities. So keep that in mind. The next thing you need to consider is the preservation of your savings. And in my opinion, the best way to preserve your savings is to keep them in the form of gold and silver. Gold and silver has the best track record for wealth preservation. The oldest known gold coins were minted in 6th century BC. There are different ways to buy gold and silver. You can buy ETF, electronically traded fund, that tracks price of gold or silver. In my opinion, it's better to buy physical gold and silver. And it's better to buy coins that are easily recognizable in your country instead of bars. For example, if you are in Canada, you can buy 1 ounce maple leaf coin. If you are in United States, you can buy 1 ounce American Eagle coin or 1 ounce Buffalo coin. Easily recognizable gold or silver coin will be much easier to sell than a gold bar, for example. What is better, gold or silver? I would say it's a personal choice. Both metals are good hedges against inflation. Usually, silver goes up in price faster than gold during inflation time, but it's not guaranteed. Currently, 1 coin of gold costs about 70 coins of silver. That means the weight of your purchase in silver will be 70 times more, and it will take more space. So that is why it's a personal choice. You need to store your gold and silver securely, and it's up to you what option to choose. You can choose deposit box at the bank, or you can choose private vault, or you can buy your own safe. So it's up to you. Gold and silver will preserve your wealth, but it will not increase your wealth because it's just a hedge or insurance against inflation. If you want to increase your wealth, then you have to invest. The first thing you need to understand about the investment is that any investment is associated with the risk. And the risk is that you can lose all your money. You need to assess how much you can afford to lose. But potential to gain could be quite big. Let's discuss different categories of investment that potentially would do well during high inflation or hyperinflation. First, let's discuss stock market. If the gold and silver is a good hedge against inflation, and gold and silver will rise in price during high inflation or hyperinflation, that means gold and silver mining companies most likely will do very well in this kind of environment. The risk associated with the mining companies is that their costs and expenses are also rising, and any stock is associated with the risk of the management. If the company has a good assets and good potential, but the management is not that good, that company can go bankrupt. Generally speaking, commodities will do well in this inflation cycle. As a result, companies associated with commodities will do very well. In my opinion, energy companies, including oil, gas, uranium, coal, these companies will outperform the rest of the commodity companies. But again, when you're buying shares of the company or ETF, electronically traded fund, you have to be aware of the risk associated with this investment. The next investment category is real estate. Real estate is all about location. For example, in 1970s, the real estate in Detroit was very valuable. 40 years later, you could buy the house in Detroit for $200, demolish it, and use it for farming. That was the trend. People used the real estate in Detroit, in the middle of the city, for farming, because the farmland around Detroit was more expensive. Also, you need to understand the trends that are going on in your area or in the area where you want to invest. For example, in California and Arizona and part of the Utah, the problem with the water supply is getting quite serious. And there is a big risk of this water supply problem getting even worse. So I would think twice before buying real estate in Arizona or California. Because real estate is tangible asset, and majority of the tangible assets will appreciate in price during inflation, so real estate would be a good investment. But also, real estate purchase is associated with a mortgage. And during inflation time, creditors lose money and debtors win in this kind of situation, because the money that you borrowed will diminish in value over time because of inflation. During high inflation or hyperinflation, the more you borrow, the better. But there are two big ifs. If you invested the money that you borrowed properly, and if you can afford monthly payments. Because if you borrowed against your house, and at some point you cannot afford monthly payments, then you will lose the house. So it's important not to over leverage. The last advice I'd like to give you is a kind of obvious one. It's better not to postpone purchases during the time of high inflation or hyperinflation, because the price of the purchase will not go down, and most likely it will go up. In this case, it doesn't make sense to postpone your purchases. Next time, I'd like to talk about freedom and how to measure freedom in the society. That's all for today. I will see you next time.